Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan Occupied Jammu and Kashmir is an integral and inseparable part of our country. Is it a crime to demand or make a statement that will take it back? It should have been taken back in 1947-48. Why did you wait for so long? Why was Haji pass captured twice and given back to them? Why did you not negotiate when 93,000 prisoner of wars in 1971 operation were handed over on a platter? Our troops were actually homing onto Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Mirpur. We could have captured all this Pakistan occupied Kashmir, but we are told not to go ahead, not to advance.
A very good evening. Very good evening. Welcome back to Swarajya Conversations. This is your host, Sharan Sethi. Quite a few developments have happened just in the last 24 hours in terms of what Pakistan is going through domestically. I'm joined by Maj Gen Sudhakar Jee, who was the former colonel of the Mahar Regiment. He's served across all the three sectors of the India-China border, and he's also pursuing a PhD on the issue of the India-China border. And he's somebody that we all look up to when we need certain strategic thoughts about issues that are of geopolitical importance. So thank you so much for making your time, and thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. It's a great honor and pleasure to reconnect back with you after a gap of a couple of months. And I wish you all the very best. And I really enjoy engaging with you because of your intellectual depth and the geopolitical horizon that you have displayed in the past. Heartiest congratulations, and I wish you all success in your all ventures.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a great compliment coming from you. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh's comments very recently about the possibility of integration of PoK into India raised a lot of eyebrows because India is very measured in its statements before making any such ones. And this came as a pleasant surprise to everybody. And I think the strategic community sort of woke up from a slumber and they were very excited to see the government and a minister in the government actually speak about this. So are we looking too much into it? Or do you think the time has come when India needs to be prepared? And are we being overambitious? I just want to get your thoughts on this.
Sharon, very intelligent question. You know the answer because yesterday I got a call from somebody close to me. I am a retired man, some well-wisher. He couldn't digest the kind of advisory remarks given by a very senior fraternity member to the government of India, not to go in for Gilgit-Baltistan, not to go in for PoK. Here is, I would like to urge our countrymen to understand. India is not in 1947. It is not the era of 1962. We are celebrating 75th year. It's my personal comment. Okay, you can decimate me after what I say about. I have something to say as a soldier, as a countryman. Every man in our country must think the way I'm thinking. It is not strategic periphery of a country. Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan Occupied Jammu and Kashmir is an integral and inseparable part of our country. Is it a crime to demand or make a statement that will take it back? I would rather counter question to the people who are giving ill advising to the government, if at all they are doing, because they have said you'll be waste of effort. I said, sorry. It is an unclaimed, uncapitulated kind of a territory. It is our entitlement. We must take it back sooner the better. It should have been taken back in 1947-48. Why did you wait for so long? Why did we ever have a soft approach towards Pakistan? Why was Haji pass captured twice and given back to them? Why did you not negotiate when 93,000 prisoner of wars in 1971 operation were handed over on a platter? You had all the golden opportunities in favor of nation building. Today, for the same, reclaiming the same rightful entitlement of the nation, you will be putting so many lives to stake. Now coming to the answer, is it feasible? I hope with my emotional content and outburst I have been able to convey to the people that that China went in for Xinjiang province when it did not belong to Xinjiang. Xinjiang was nothing like Xinjiang. It was Turkestan. It was East Turkestan and North Turkestan. Turkestan was a huge country cutting across the Central Asian Republic at that point in time. China in 1949, well before the PRC was formed on 1st of January, 1st of October 1949, they had already invaded Turkestan in the month of August 1949. Why did China do it? China did it because of a visionary concept. They had a vision. Our country doesn't. In 75th year, do you take pride to say that our country should not have a vision? Is it harm? It is critical. Is it a crime to cry horse to claim your own land back? I don't think so. We have been slipping. We are in deep slumber. We must wake up, countrymen. We must claim. We must assert. Take it back. No matter what hard price you have to. If you could take back Kargil Hill or the mountains, despite being in a very critical and absolutely lopsided situation against us, why can't we take this back? We'll come to the ways and means how it can be taken back. Similarly, China also annexed Tibet in 1949. Correct. And finally, on 23rd of May, 1951, if I'm not wrong, the 17-point agreement was signed with the Tibetans. And that is how it was formally annexed. Why did China do it? It's more than 95% of its population there to the east coast. Hardly anyone stays in Tibet and Xinjiang comparatively. Yeah. Why did they? Strategic periphery is a direct, it is not a symbolism. Right. It is got a direct bearing with the internal stability within the country. In order to ensure internal stability or homeland security, stable situation within the country so that the economy prospers and we can achieve 5, 10, 15, $30 trillion by a given time frame, stability is paramount. In order to ensure stability, you have to have your strategic periphery. This is not strategic periphery. It is part and parcel of our country, which you should have rightfully taken in 1947-48. So therefore, I am convinced, and so as every Indian should be convinced, that here is the time. There is no better and greater situation and opportune moment. Pakistan is on the knees. It is going around the world with the begging ball. We have given it enough time that a stable Pakistan is a better Pakistan for India. A stable Pakistan has not actually given us what we expected. Right. It continuously and consistently kept on applying the theory and concept of building India with 1,000 cuts. It continues to do even now. Also, it has got a friend in the neighborhood higher than the Everest and deeper than the ocean, who is also applying the Sun Jung theory of deception, concealment, and surprise against India, 3 warfare strategy and whatnot, every kind of gray zone. Therefore, I feel that it's time that India has to consolidate its thought, firstly in the mind. We have taken a parliament resolution, 94, but it's time that we start translating that into action. I'll wait for your question on how do you go about it ahead of it. Then I'll respond. Back to you, please.
Yes, sir. I think it's not just you. I mean, everybody feels the pain that you're going through because for 75 years, we've been told that we are not yet ready and there are difficult circumstances. And, the time has not just come to integrate a lot of these territories which are rightfully ours, but the army has always been prepared. The defense forces have always shown exemplary courage when it comes to situations and conflicts that we've faced over the past. And you're very right in saying so. And I think everybody who will watch this will obviously feel the sentiment and they'll share the sentiment with you. But having said that, I have a couple of questions as a follow-up to what you just said, but I'll come to that after you tell us what would be the feasible path for us to integrate PoK without, causing a lot of turbulence.
Once again, very interesting question you have asked. The plain and simple answer to your question is that Pakistan has to grow out of its immature, irresponsible behavior. That genetic disorder has to be buried for once for all if it has to adopt a progressive path of growth. So as China, we need to behave in a mature manner, in a manner which is expected in the 21st century, post end of Cold War. Well, that is not to be seen. While we all expected some kind of rules-based international order, wherever you turn your neck and shift your eye to, you find only disorder manifesting. So that may not take place. So therefore, what are the options? Give a chance to Pakistan. I would say we have given enough chances to Pakistan. The first breach of trust, I would say, although 47, 48, it was a foregone conclusion. It was a design, the way it happened. It was it is an architectural, not imagination. It is by design that our offensive, our troops are actually homing onto Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Mirpur. We could have captured all this Pakistan occupied Kashmir, but we are told not to go ahead, not to advance. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, but then the leadership at that point in time should have been mature enough that something which is golden and ripe in the hands cannot be regained so easily in future. So be that as it may, there was a greater design, I would say, more than the greater game which was going on between Soviet Russia and the British Empire. There was a greater design within India and the British Empire itself. To me, when I read the history again and again, I feel that we had been sold out to the Britishers. I'm sorry I'm saying this as a military man. I should not be making this remark. So be that as it may, Pakistan is not going to become compliant and respond to our request. Therefore, we need to adopt the following means. Firstly, we have to be very clear that they have to be retaken. When your own territory, which has been illegally occupied by Pakistan, in fact, China, nobody is discussing about China. China has got a portion of land of the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir. When you read the history, Jaidullah, the Maharaja of Jammu Kashmir had built a fort there at Jaidullah in the Dogra and Tibet battle, which took place way back in 1831, and followed by this was 1842 agreement. And thereafter in 1846, the Britishers had actually, defeated the Sikh Empire. And there was an agreement wherein they had consolidated right up to the Dogra troops. They had gone up to Minsar and Mansarovar Lake. So these are the Jaidullah to Minsar and Mansarovar Lake. It's a good swath of land by 50 to 80 kilometers inside across what the Chinese are sitting across in our territory. So this point also has to be triggered at some point in time, like people, well-read people like you. So therefore, what we need to do is, first and foremost thing is, the battle has begun. It's a non-kinetic battle, as per my assessment. It's a non-military battle. That battle has started how? The Indian Meteorological Department has started digitally reporting the weather conditions of all these territories in the evening and morning. And there is some time frequency which I am not aware of. You can Google and find out. But it is happening. We have started reporting the weather of all these places across our own area, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir and Gilgit and Baltistan. One. Second, we need to do much more than this. What are the much more issues? You see, first and foremost thing that the cartographic warfare has been well orchestrated by our very mature, I would say, insightful leadership of the present dispensation. It's a beautiful art of administration. That swath of land of showing Ladakh, Union Territory of Ladakh, is actually bitten everyone hollow. China is petrified. Pakistan is bloody, gone helter-skelter. The global order also is bloody shaken out. What is this Narendra Modi and his government have done? So after having done this particular thing, my sincere suggestion to the leadership is that it's about time that the Survey of India publishes these maps. It's about time that India engages with all key nodal agencies all over the world who are dealing with the map of India, including 192 countries, in a systematic, in a mature, responsible manner, to convince them that please, in your textbook, in your map, show India as we are showing. You understood? Ladakh has to be shown as an integral part of us. It's a union territory today. So the map propagating the theory of our actual claim is depicted with the help of a map that is called as the cartographic war. It is not a warfare. It is a rightful claim by us, technically, legally, by all means it is ours. Thereafter, I would suggest that the textbooks of our own people within India must undergo change and have a chapter on this. We must speak loudly. What we are sowing, those seeds which are being sown today will start actually generating or bearing fruit 15, 20 years, 50 years from now. Think about the future generation. The textbooks should start speaking. Children don't know that Gilgit-Baltistan is part of us. They don't know that Pakistan Occupied Kashmir is separate from Gilgit-Baltistan. They don't know that Gilgit-Baltistan is a strategically important location. They don't know that Gilgit-Baltistan has got a boundary with Afghanistan. It has got a boundary with Turkestan, not China. At that point in time, China invaded and illegally occupied Xinjiang province. It has got the boundary with Ladakh towards the northeast, and towards south and southeast is a Kashmir Valley. And to the west, it has got a boundary with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Okay, and to the main hinterland, I would say the Pakistan. So therefore, the importance of this land must be covered in the textbook. Third point I wish to share with you is that it is about time all the disaster management mapping, because census will be a difficult exercise. Unless you go on ground, you cannot carry out the census of the human population. Because this conflict is a people-centric conflict. It is not an army-centric conflict. If people are with us, it will be easy to integrate. If the people are against India, no matter how much of hard power we have or soft power we have, we cannot win. We need to win over the people. Thereafter, you see, what you need to do is to digitally integrate these people. What is digital integration? Digital integration is like we have mobile number here, they also have mobile. When they have the mobile, if you are claiming that they are our own people, this is our own land, you please evolve a system, start giving them mobile numbers starting with 91. Why should they ring with 92? So digitally, you started with meteorological department. Now you start having some system wherein the mobile connectivity will go to them only with 91. The next point is the most important point, political integration. So what is the meaning of political integration? In J&K Assembly, we have how many? Total of 111 seats, if I'm not wrong. Out of 111, 86 are presently held and occupied. I think 85 plus 2, something like this. Some numbers are vacant. And these numbers are basically for Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, J&K, and Gilgit and Baltistan. It's about time. 75th year, we can't hold elections. Can't we have our elected representative of these people? They may not be staying in this area. They may be in exile. There are so many laws. I know so many people from this area who are in London, who are in California, who are in New York, Boston, and different places. Let's pick up the leadership to start with and fill up these vacancies. Have some semblance of a statehood. Before that, of course, the Jammu and Kashmir, from the Union Territory status, it has to be upgraded to a state, province of India. Only then you can claim and make the assembly operational. So after the political issue, next suggestion I have is, it is very, very important to have your disaster management. These inactive, passive kind of things, which will not, jerk up eyes and eyebrows, raise the eyebrows. You start having, and have a kind of a soft border if you can, which were discussed in 1971. It never happened. I'm not saying that LOC, line of control, should be converted into IB. No, please don't misunderstand. Whatever is the status today, the operational military boundary, let's have soft borders. Let people-to-people contact be improved. Let there be trade. There will be commercial activities. The Kashmir Valley, as it is, has started enjoying wide roads, railway network, airfield. Tourist footfall has increased so significantly within 1 year, I have never heard of. Half my tenure has been in J&K. More than 7 lakh people have come. It must be touching 8 lakhs this year. Look at the investment. 56,000 crores of rupees have been invested from where? From UAE. You see, after abrogation of Article 370, the complete dynamics has undergone change. There may be selective killing, one odd, but the terrorist strength has gone down from what, 7, 8, 9,000. Now it is down to 150 or hardly anyone. And the recruitment also has taken a very flat kind of state now. So therefore, all I'm saying is you have IIMs there, you have IITs coming up, you have AIMS already come up, you have business starting off, you have the tourists. Tourists is the mainstay of Kashmir Valley. You have tunnels coming up. You have got the Chenab Bridge, which is there. The railway line has been opened up. Look at the air traffic. Earlier in my time, we had only 2 flights. Today, there are 125. It's almost crossed 100 flights every day. It has started flying abroad. It has become an international airport today. So therefore, seeing the development, we need to trigger. This is important, Sharan, what I'm going to share with you now. This part is very important. There is a need to identify the themes, the developmental themes, the socio-economic developmental themes in our own side. Showcase them to the people across. Bring them for medical treatment to our own side, in Kashmir Valley itself. And firstly, expose, sensitize, see what development has done to this area. You apply everything. There is a huge problem of unemployment. There is a huge problem of lack of air. There is a huge problem of, there is no water, no electricity, no food, no aid, nothing, no medical treatment, nothing is there. People are scared. They're leaving the area. And mind you, this area takes pride in saying it is the largest natural source of water. Yeah. Largest number of glaciers belong to this area, 252 glaciers. Unheard of. Indus flows through that. The main source of Indus is there. So what I'm coming to is that we need to win over the people in a progressive manner, in a time-bound manner, and make them trigger such activities so that they go in for an uprising. Let it come from them to integrate with India. Let it not be a push model from our side. India should not integrate with them. They should integrate with India.
So thank you so much for that detailed explanation. When it comes to reintegration, we've experienced a lot of challenges within India since the last few decades. And I think we've overcome those challenges to a very large extent. Whether it's the emotional, economic and cultural integration of the Northeast and several states in the Northeast, we've seen how challenging it can become, especially given India's diversity. And like you said, the Pakistani mind has been fed with anti-Indian propaganda for several years now. But in India, we speak of a united India. So the fundamental difference in the approaches between India and Pakistan are stark and very contrast, they're in contrast with each other. So in that sense, when we, especially in the 21st century with the advancement of, cyber technology and things like that, the focus on people, communities and societies has increased even more. So there's a lot of sensitivity required when it comes to military operations, when it comes to reintegration of several geographical territories back into the original landscape of India. So how do we make sure that it's done in a systematic way, in a very sensitive way, sir?
Excellent question. I think the cherry on the icing is what you have just asked. And the icing on the cake is what we have covered in the preceding part. Okay. The military operation per se should be taken as one of the course of actions only after we have exhausted all other options, all other non-military means. Okay. Because it's one thing to integrate your own states within the boundaries of India. And it is another thing, it's a different thing to integrate, which rightfully should have been ours, but under illegal occupation by your neighborhood. So they have gone through 75 years or 70 years or whatever, 72 years of some kind of administrative control. There has been a demographic changeover. There has been a kind of a subversion they have been subjected to. There is a kind of a, I would say, attempt by the host country to integrate these people, these areas with their system of administration, of their governance. So therefore, coming straight back to the point, like, for example, Gilgit-Baltistan. Okay. Military operation, I'm not saying no. Army is ever ready. You give them a task, they will. You can trust no other army as much as the Indian Army. It is the best armed forces in the world. I can say with a lot of pride, a lot of conviction and confidence. Okay. Anything invincible. People haven't seen the ice, the ice walls in Turtuk subsector, in Hanif subsector. I have seen them in my own eyes. I have done the Siachen tenure. It's so difficult. But you cannot believe it until you actually see. So coming straight to the point, that there is a requirement of unleashing or orchestrating a very well coordinated, well planned operation, essentially the non-military component. Now, what are the non-military component? Like you rightly said, today, there are no boundaries in the world. On one hand, we are saying globalization is actually falling apart. The other hand, this Internet of Things, the cyber capability, okay, the social media, it is blurring the external challenges and the internal, between the external and the internal challenges. The incident which occurred in Coimbatore has got its trigger from the ISIS headquarters at Afghanistan or the Pak-Afghanistan corridor. So what I mean to say is that by virtue of this world becoming boundaryless, it is not very difficult. If Arab Spring could take place in the year 2011 in a small place in Tunisia, if I'm not wrong, and same is the case with what is happening in Iran, okay, and elsewhere in the world, there are a number of places. The Hizbut, the Mujahideen, or the Hezbollah, they brought Israeli armies onto the knees in the year 2006 by virtue of this boundaryless war or the social media. And the man was sitting where? In London. So similarly, these kind of methods are possible. I am not saying don't go in for the offensive capability, because if you want to win over the people and expect those people to trigger an uprising, to join India, let it be a willing participation of these people. We need to firstly focus on the leadership. The leadership to start with could be outside. There are quite a few, I can count handful of them presently in Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, so as Gilgit-Baltistan. One. Second part is we need to carry out extensive mapping of the area. Mapping for disaster management, mapping for communication, mapping for satellite connectivity, mapping for casualty evacuation, for medical treatment, as also imparting education system. I'm not saying you subvert the education system of Pakistan, but I'm saying you impart education through satellite to our own people. Right. What is being taught. Therefore, I was laying emphasis on the textbook. The textbooks which are being applied here should also be applicable for the people across. But the most crucial issue to buy these people over or win them over by hearts and minds is the employment. They do not have any employment opportunities. There is no industry. Whatever little opportunities are there, they're basically going to there is a huge Punjabization which is taking place, whether it is Balochistan or it is Gilgit-Baltistan. And Pakistan occupied J&K is nothing, it is an extension of the Punjabi people are actually shifting in here. There is a systemic plan of expansion of the Punjab. So therefore, there is a need, firstly, to select the people, to carry out an internal assessment, to connect with these people by different modes and means of communication. Number two, we must employ methods of, when you say the military operation, it should be applied as a last option. I do agree with you, because you have asked a very intelligent question. Unless you have your own land under your feet, you cannot actually, formally or officially, you cannot claim it to be yours. It has to be under you. Your plot that you buy in Bangalore or wherever you are today, there has to have a boundary and you have to be there inside to claim, or at least you must go once in 30 days to claim your ownership. So similarly, military means is definitely required, but it may not be with the kinetic component. It could be non-kinetic component. So how do you achieve?
There will be several parts of the operation where kinetic component will also be manifested, perhaps. I mean, it's probably going to become integral at some point. Now, if we were to take away a few things from the Ukraine-Russia conflict, we also saw that nuclear threats were involved. And we know what kind of a responsible power Pakistan is as far as nuclear power is concerned. So when it comes to escalation of that particular situation, how do we deal with it in the future?
Yeah, Sharon, again, very, very interesting and serious question. It's not a very simple question. You see, any military activities taking place at Gilgit-Baltistan, it will attract some kind of military response from China. Rather, we should say that the response from China will be more vigorous, more intense than that of Pakistan. Okay, why am I saying is because of the energy security, because of the CPEC. Yesterday in one of the channels, the channel anchor was building up that the Prime Minister of Pakistan has been humiliated. And so what is on the cards? How is China going to respond? Will they give them dole out the money like the way they did it in the past? So my response was in the negative, that China itself is in thick soup. They do not have enough money. The economy is in a slump. There is a drought. There is a flood. There is an earthquake. There is unemployment problem. Economy is growing at a rate of 3.4%. As against an expected rate of 5.8 or 5.6. And there is a huge debt to GDP ratio crisis. So all this put together, it is further compounded and it becomes complex with a kind of a zero COVID policy. So what I'm coming to is that military response from China is going to be more intense, more vigorous, in addition to Pakistan. So therefore, it has to be a very calibrated and systemic one. So what is that calibrated and systemic ones? What am I trying to say? When I say about Gilgit-Baltistan, Gilgit-Baltistan is known for large number of tourist places of tourist interest. It has got beautiful lakes. It has got lovely trekking sites, paragliding, hang gliding can be done. A lot of tourists can come. They're coming even now. Okay, there is another issue that this is the land of water. Also, this is the land of minerals. We'll be surprised to hear there are 50 to 100 mines, registered mines of gold and uranium as per Pakistan Occupied Kashmir Mineral Department. There are many more, but I'm going by what the Wikipedia or some agency has said. There are huge mines of zinc. What I'm coming to is that the population has started migrating because of bad weather, because of lack of food security, etc., etc. There is, firstly, we connect with the people. Secondly, we explore the possibility of addressing their livelihood. Livelihood is very, very important. Third, the basic requirement. Maslow's theory has to be applied here also as much as possible. The Pakistan government is not doing the bare minimum. You'll be surprised to learn that the COVID vaccinations have not been registered to a major percentage of these people, even till date. The ration doesn't go. Whatever ration went during the COVID time, when they made atta, these chapatis turned totally black. They have all the water in the world, but they don't have drinking water. No electricity. So if the basic requirement can be given to them under the brand name of India or Jammu and Kashmir, I think we can connect. There are large number of people who are passing. I saw one call came after in the intervening period that that these people, majority are Sunnis, Shias. Now somebody said 99% are Shias. When I checked up, Googled up and saw that 44 to 46% are the Shias.
Right.
Sunnis are 32 to 34%.
That's still a significant number.
Yeah. So you see, this composition has got no mean. It has got a relevance, but it doesn't have, when the livelihood is at stake, these things will take the back seat as far as my understanding concerned. So therefore, when you come to the military component, first and foremost, we must apply is the covert means. That is the non-kinetic means that the military component has got. What are these? The cyber attack, communication, electromagnetic attack. Okay, the space drone can provide a lot of things. Drones, if Pakistan is applying drones across the border to provide narcotics and counterfeit currency and the guns and weapons into our side, we can give them health, we can give them ration to specific areas where the population is living. With kind care, compassion, and everything, you stamp them from Indian authority. It has to be a kind of whole of nation approach. Firstly, by non-kinetic means, education has to be given due importance, communication has to be given due importance, healthcare has to be given due importance, the housing has to be given importance, the basic needs have to be met. They have to be brought into some kind of a group under a leadership. The leadership has to be in connect with people outside our country, not within India. It will carry on for 5 to 10 years, maybe. There has to be a short-term objective, mid-term objective, and a long-term objective. Money has to be catered for this. It may not happen overnight. It may take 10, 15 years. So be it. Let's plan it out. By 2047, come what may, they have to be integrated. Now come to the military component. When you go in, it must be understood by the public and the people of India that Gilgit-Baltistan is a mountainous terrain. The other name, at a couple of places you will find, apart from K2, you have a large number of 8,000 meters, large number of mountains which are more than 8,000 meters, 7,000 meters. Very tall mountains are there. They're snow-clad. They're huge mountain peaks. So what is it that I am saying? That it will be difficult to actually operate against the grain of the country. It will not be favorable for military operation. Mountains, they gobble up troops. So therefore, what is it that we are suggesting? So therefore, we go in for strategically important points, communication nodes. For example, you have Khunjara Pass, through which the Karakoram highway passes. Towards China side, they have started building a huge airport, international airport, military, civil come military airport. It's around 28, 30 kilometers away on the road to Kashgar. Okay. Khunjara Pass is such a pass that if you carry out a covert operation by para-SF, they go and capture it, and they have they carry out an effective check on the traffic movement and the people coming from China side and this side. You have cut off the complete Karakoram to an extent. On all along in Gilgit-Baltistan itself, Chinese have got their militia, they call it under different name. Pakistanis have got special secret service, special services department, SSD. SSDs are nothing but paramilitary force and the police people of Pakistan. They have joined together. They form a division. China, as on today, has got 66,000 Chinese population, including Gilgit-Baltistan, in Pakistan itself, all along the sea peak. So you got to factor in all these aspects, carry out a detailed planning, have a systematic kind of a thing. It cannot be an overnight military operation. It cannot be like Balakot operation. You carry out one surgical strike and come back more. It has to be a sustained and consistent kind of an operation, a multi-pronged attack, economy, diplomacy, global order has to be also taken on board. You see, we need to carry out sensitization of the entire world.
Right.
They have to be on our side. The OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference, these nations, they have to be taken on board. We need to convince all these people that it's about time that we do this. Otherwise, it may be pretty difficult. And finally, if nothing works out, India has to continuously upgrade its military capability in keeping with the objectives to be captured. If they are pushed beyond a level, beyond the envelope, we may have to go in for a ground capture of those objectives which are held by the troops, for which neither Pakistan has got enough, nor China has got enough. Because both the sides, they are facing the crunch and poverty as much as we do. Back to you, please.
So thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really educational for a lot of us. And it was necessary that we do this in a thoughtful manner. Because when it comes to sensitive subjects like this, a lot of thought has to go into how we deliberate on, ideas pertaining to integration of PoK and subjects like that. And you've done it so well. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Sharan, so as this side, it's already gives me immense pleasure to reconnect with you after a long gap. And I somehow get energized. My battery gets charged when I look at you and speak to you. Because there is someone of your age, a person of your age and caliber has got intellectual depth to engage on geopolitics as also our internal dynamics in a coherent manner, in a progressive, productive, I would say, positive manner for the nation building, which is the crying need. Narendra Modi alone cannot run the country. We all have a role to play. We need to support him in our own way. Thank you so much. Wonderful actually interacting with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Very kind of you. Extremely kind words. And Jai Hind, sir. Thank you so much. And I hope we can reconnect again on some other issue.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Viewers, please do let us know what you thought about this particular conversation. And if you have any questions for Major General Sudhakar Jee, please do let him know in the comment section below. And I'm sure he'll be very happy to answer those questions. Until next time, this is your host, Sharan, signing off.